Okay, this is my personal ideal day to follow my dreams. Let's get right into it. Okay, so the first part of the day is waking up at 9:30. I wake up at 9:30. I try to do ideally a little bit of light activity. I try to get into a cold shower. Now, the reason a cold shower is really important, it's not like some like Sigma grind set type shit. It is because cold exposure is known to boost your dopamine. A lot of people get dopamine confused. Dopamine is not the molecule of happiness, it's the molecule of motivation. And I directly learned this from Andrew Huberman. By the way, all this information on here is not from me. I'm gonna like try to cite my sources. I don't take credit for any of this, or like this is not my stuff. I am just the messenger. This stuff works for me. Maybe it can work for you too. Um, Anytime you say the word motivation, you can replace that pretty much every time with dopamine. I have low motivation. I have low dopamine. I'm not feeling motivated. I have low dopamine. Oh, I need to get some motivation. I need to get some dopamine. Now, it doesn't work exactly like that. It's more like a credit system. Imagine at the beginning of your day, you have 100 credits of dopamine and you can choose how to spend them throughout the day. But doing something like going into a cold shower is one of the only instances where you can like mechanically kind of like artificially, although it's like natural, boost that level to like 120, okay? So I love cold. Actually, bro, that is not true. I will sit. I'll stand in the shower and look at the cold water sometimes for like up to like 4 minutes, like 5 minutes. Like I don't want to get in, but every time after I've gotten out of the cold water, I feel great. I feel amazing. I feel motivated, and just is like it makes me happy and motivated and excited for the day. Um, I have been doing cold showers for about 3 years now. It is something that has changed my morning. I really like it. And I'll notice the mornings when I don't do it, I feel a lot more kind of low. So I'm addicted. Um, I also like to just get my breakfast out of the way. This is something that I do that is personal and a little bit weird, but I will drink my eggs raw. Again, it is not some like Sigma grind set. Like it is not that. It's because I don't like having to like crack the eggs. Like I've tried to explain this to like so many people and like nobody gets it. Like that's fine. It's like my little like kind of weird thing. I understand that. However, it saves me on average 20 minutes every single morning and allows me to get straight into the next thing, which is visualizing and deep work. Also, if people try to tell you that drinking raw eggs is not safe, it is 100% safe, at least in Canada where I live. The chances of getting salmonella from a raw egg are 1.4 in 1 million. Okay, that is an extremely low chance. I've been drinking raw eggs for like 2 years now. I haven't had a single problem. As long as it says Canada grade A, they're safe to drink. I don't know what that would be like in the States or the US, or other countries, but in Canada, it's safe to drink raw eggs. Anyways, the next thing here is visualizing. Now, I think that visualizing is so important. I genuinely, like a year ago, 2 years ago, used to not think it was important until I realized that some of the stuff that I would do, like put on my vision board or that I would visualize, I would watch it in real life coming true, and it was the weirdest, coolest, like most wild feeling ever. So, bro, this is distracting because I'm like looking at myself, bro. I haven't used this software in like 2 years. Anyways, it was the coolest thing, because you'd watch the stuff that you would like visualize in your head come into real life. I'm gonna put a little thing here so it blocks myself because I don't really want myself distracting. Okay. Yeah, my current life, I would say I'm not satisfied with it. I'm very grateful. I'm extremely happy. That being said, I'm not satisfied. I want to continually make progress to achieve things that I would like to achieve. A lot of times when I visualize, I think of hitting certain milestones. So, like, obviously, I am a YouTuber. I make YouTube videos, and so I want to hit particular milestones. I also visualize around the kind of social circles I want to be in. So like I want, friends that are going to be supporting me, loving me, that I can rely on. And then I also think of the future things that I want. So like kind of my family, what kind of upbringing like for my kids, like instilling good values, that kind of thing. Okay, so at 10:30, so an hour after I wake up, I will start what's called deep work. So deep work is a particular type of work that is complete focus, complete isolation, and no distractions. So I kind of actually explain this over here, but basically, wait, where did I put it, bro? Um, yeah, basically, like most, yeah, this at the bottom here. Most offices, schools, lecture halls, libraries, and open spaces are not conducive to deep work. Okay, deep work is like the single most effective thing that is going to like bring you from point A to point B to like achieving something that you actually want to do. So, like 90% of people when they're like working, it's not deep work. Okay, examples of like deep work, if you like went to school, for example, right? You went to like high school, middle school. Deep work would be actually like taking a test. Okay, when you're fully locked in, there's no distractions, you're taking a test. Okay, you're doing the math calculations or you're writing that, like you're taking the test, right? So 1 hour of deep work is about the equivalent of like 1 hour of really focused, like imagine you're taking a test, right? That's like 1 hour of that. So, in university, you can write like 5 hour exams. That is 5 hours of deep work, right? Like you're fully focused, you're fully locked in. So that's what deep work is, right? Like no messages, no emails, no Discord, no music, no talking to people, no people coming in, no people interrupting, no looking at your phone, no looking at notifications, no random like buzzing sounds coming, right? Like none of that. Do not disturb. In fact, it's ideal to just like take your phone, take it out of the room. I clearly don't listen to this as a rule. But the idea is you want to be like fully locked in. So deep work is specifically important because it creates a process called, or I guess it's conducive to a process called myelination. Okay, and I'm gonna explain why I think deep work is so important. And I'll give you the bio kind of like the bioscience behind why I think it's so important. And again, like I did not learn any of this from me. This specifically is from this book here, Deep Work by Cal Newport. You can go to a library. It is completely free. You can also get it online. Although I do not endorse that. However, I'm not endorsing this. You can go online and search up PDFs of this if you want this book for free. I don't endorse this. Okay, so myelination is an energy induced. Okay, bro, I was yapping too much here. Basically, myelination is when your neurons are wrapped in something called myelin. So your neurons are your brain cells, okay? And your brain is made up of like I think it's like hundreds of millions of neurons, right? So there's like actually brain cells as like part of your brain. And when you learn a new skill, brain cells will kind of like communicate and form neural circuitry in like kind of new or different ways. So let's say I'm learning the task of playing a piece, like playing a music piece on the piano. Okay, so I'm learning a song on the piano. My neurons would start to form and create neural pathways or neural circuitry in a way that my brain has never experienced before. Okay, so when I'm learning it, at first I'm going to be really crappy at the song. So the neural pathways are going to be very ineffective. They're going to be like very rudimentary. But in your brain, for your neurons to communicate, there's actually electrical impulses that will fire from one neuron to the next, to the next, to the next, that creates that neural pathway. So your brain is always communicating through like actual electricity. Basically, we're robots. So essentially, in order to create skill in something, so in order to get good at something, you need to do what's called wrapping those neurons in myelin. So your neurons, like we've kind of already gone over, communicate through electricity. Okay, so it's an actual electrical impulse. Myelin is a type of material that will wrap around those neurons. The better you get at something, right, the more that myelin wraps around, and that myelin is highly, highly conductive of electricity, okay? So it can conduct electricity really, really well. So when you have your neurons that are creating that neural pathway, the more electricity fires in that pathway, right? The more you're practicing something, you're firing that neural pathway. The more that myelin wraps around. Because that myelin is so conductive, instead of the electrical impulse traveling through the neuron, it will hop over the myelin because the myelin is so much more conductive than the actual neuron itself, right? The neuron is the brain cell and the myelin is the the conductive material that's wrapped around the brain cell, okay? So in order for you to actually get really good at something, you need to kind of wrap your myelin around those neurons, right? Because if you think of like a top NBA star, right? Like, let's go with Michael Jordan, okay? Arguably the best basketball player of all time, right? Absolute legend. When he makes like a shot, right? Like when he takes a shot, that's firing a neural pathway that has been so like wrapped in myelin. Sorry, the neuron has been wrapped in myelin that he's like a professional at it. That those neural pathways, right? The electricity flowing through it is almost like instant, right? That's what it means to be really, really good at something. And so essentially, like, it explains the concept here. I kind of wrote this as like, and we kind of went over this, but deep work is defined as as professional activity performed in a state of distraction-free concentration. So it pushes your cognitive capabilities to their limits. So again, doing something like extreme work, right? You can think of like taking a test or really locking in and studying, okay? So like pushing your brain to its limits. The reason we're pushing our brain to the limits is because it's creating that myelination, okay? So it's an energy intensive process of neurons being covered in myelin sheath, okay? So myelin is just basically covering those neurons. Myelin is a material that can be wrapped around the neurons that allows it to increase the rate at which the electrical impulses pass along the axon. So basically just go through the neuron, right? So it's just basically increasing the speed at which the electricity goes through that neural connection. This is physically how you start getting better at doing a task. Okay, so when I started making videos 6 years ago, I was not good at editing. Okay, that was all the way down to the basic things such as I didn't know the correct commands on my keyboard on how to like cut footage or how to put things together, or like I was trying to still get the basic commands of how to operate the software under my belt. Now, 6 years later, I'd say I'm fairly confident in the software. It kind of is just muscle memory and it comes to me naturally. The reason it's muscle memory, the reason I don't have to think hard about it anymore is because I've practiced, but it's actually because that myelin has wrapped around those neurons. So those electrical impulses, those pathways are just way faster. So I don't even have to think about it because they're just, it's like a road that's been paved really well, right? The electricity can just flow right through. However, myelination does not occur without repetitive use of neural pathways, and those distractions can interrupt the process. So we've talked about the distractions, which are kind of things like messages, emails, Discord, music, conversations, people coming in, people trying to talk. Those are distractions to that process of myelination, okay? Basically, the distractions create an environment where you can't get as good as you could if you were in a distraction-free environment because you won't have access to optimal myelination, okay? So deep work allows you to enter a flow state where you get more volume done in a shorter period of time, okay? So if you think about you have worker A and worker B, and they're both in like a 9-to-5 office, and worker A will come into his job, and he first he goes to the coffee machine, and then he talks like any kind of office gossip, and then he goes over to his cubicle, and then Jeff from HR comes, and they're chatting, and then he opens his computer and he checks his emails and he goes through, and there's this random email that spikes his cortisol, oh no, the markets are down by 7%, and he gets not nervous, he gets panicked. You know what I mean? That environment is not conducive to deep work. You think of that guy, and by the end of the day, his brain is cooked. He's bro, today has been such a long day. You know what I mean? because he's trying to get a volume amount of work done in like this spread out half-ass period of time, versus worker B goes into work, he's already got his coffee, sits down, you know, someone tries to talk to him, sorry man, I gotta get my work done, right? Opens his computer, and it's like he doesn't check messages, he doesn't check emails, he does the highest ROI task, which we're gonna move on to next here. So imagine you are invited. I'm actually not gonna use the example here. Here, I'll do this. Okay. Bro, that is not good quality. Okay, imagine you are invited, and I'm going to put this in front of here because I don't want to watch my own face. That's weird. It's distracting. Imagine you're invited to a meal with your favorite food, okay? So it's your favorite food, and there's unlimited, there's an unlimited amount of, like, your favorite food, okay? So it's like a buffet of, like, the best, most delicious like thing you can imagine. So for me, like, I love sushi. Okay, so for this example, we're going to use a sushi buffet. Okay, so I have unlimited access to this sushi buffet. I can eat all the dragon rolls, all the crab rolls, all the sashimi that I want. However, I have to eat a live frog. So at any point during the dinner, the beginning, the middle, or the end, I have to eat a live frog. So there's this live frog that they give me, and it's like squirming around the plate, and it's like slimy and gross. Okay. And the question is, would you eat the frog at the beginning of the dinner or the end of the dinner? Now, the optimal answer to this question is you would eat it at the end of the dinner. Oh, bro. Pause. You would eat it at the beginning of the dinner. Pause. I got distracted minimizing my... Okay, you would eat it at the beginning of the dinner, okay? This is the... I'm done, bro. Don't listen to this. Don't listen to this advice, bro. It's cooked. The optimal answer is you would eat it at the beginning of the dinner, okay? Now, the reason why is because imagine you eat it at the end of the dinner, okay? And you're eating the sushi and it tastes really good, but like you have this kind of residual anxiety in the back of your head, like, oh, like, I have to eat this frog, like this live frog, like, and it's right there on the table and it's kind of like looking at you. You're like, bro, like, I'm gonna have to eat this frog at the end of the dinner, like, but you're trying to enjoy the sushi, you know what I mean? Like, you're trying to enjoy your meal. It's like, it tastes good, but you can't enjoy it because you know you're gonna have to eat a live frog at the end. Versus if you eat the frog at the beginning and you get it over with, you know what I mean? Then, like, you have the rest of the meal, like, you can, like, eat a few pieces of sushi, your palate's clean, right? You kind of don't even remember the frog, right? Like, at the beginning of the day, it's like, that's essentially what you'd want to do in real life. So, as opposed to a frog, you want to do the highest ROI task at the very beginning of the day. So, highest ROI just means the most effective task at the beginning of your day. Okay. So I'm trying to think of an example of, and I mean, okay, I can think of two examples here. Okay. An example of, let's say you're a student and you're practicing for a math exam. What's the highest ROI task that you could do to get yourself prepared for the math exam? It's doing practice questions. Okay. Practice questions aren't fun. I did not like math in high school, but doing practice questions, like sitting down and grinding them out and making mistakes and having to erase it and like going back and trying to understand it, that's the highest ROI task you could do. Some examples of low ROI tasks is mindlessly watching the lecture, right? You mindlessly watch the lecture, you're looking at the person presenting, you're kind of like half-assing it. That's not high ROI. Another example is making pretty notes, right? Notes that look nice, they look pretty, you know what I mean? You're using different like markers and stuff. That's not high ROI either. Those are forms of procrastination essentially. So an example of the highest ROI task that I have to do as a YouTuber is brainstorming, okay? So I usually like at least 50%, probably 65 to 70% of the time, I don't like brainstorming. To me, I have to sit down, I have to force myself, right? Like, and I guess to a person outside, looking in from the outside, you'd be like, well, like brainstorming, like that's kind of fun. You get to come up with ideas. after like day 30 in a row of coming up with the same ideas every day, it gets grueling. You're sitting in front of this piece of paper. It's a little bit intimidating. You're like, okay, I got to come up with something, right? That is the task that I hate the most, okay, out of everything that I do in terms of making videos. I just want to have the idea ready. I want to go out. I want to film. I want to laugh. I want to edit it. Those are fun things for me. Brainstorming, I hate it, okay? That's not true. I don't hate it. I just find it the least enjoying, okay? Enjoyable. But basically, this is an example of the highest ROI task I can do, the highest leverage task. And the reason that's the case is because I can't do anything else unless I have an excellent idea. However, if I have an excellent idea, then I can go record it. It'll be a good video. I can make a good thumbnail for it, right? Like, that's basically the one bottleneck that's holding everything else hostage, is coming up with really good ideas. Okay. Yeah, we can move on from this concept. I feel like I've explained it fairly well. If you guys have any questions, by the way, feel free to ask them in the comments. I really do try to be like receptive. I always check the comments of this channel specifically. And I want to make sure that everybody nobody hesitates to ask questions if they don't understand this stuff. I want this information to be free and open, and it's really changed my life because I've learned it from free sources. So I just want to continue sharing this information for free. Examples of high leverage ROI tasks for me are brainstorming, deep editing. So there's when you're editing and other bro, did that just do the Apple thing? There's no shot, bro. Get out of here. Get out of here, bro. Yeah, my hair is wet actually because I did the first thing on this list, a cold shower. The reason that, okay, I gotta stop looking at myself, bro. The reason that I wanted to make this too and felt inspired to make this today is because I have been off this kind of like schedule, this grind, okay? I've been lacking a little bit. Where is my, bro, hang on. I've been lacking a little bit. Here it is. And I wanted to basically just share this information and then also share my justification for why I do it. Because hopefully it will help you guys, but also hopefully it'll help me, because I have not been wanting to do a lot of this stuff. I've been kind of slacking off a little bit, specifically with the visualization and the deep work. So hopefully this can help both of us, because I have been struggling with this recently and I want to get back on top of it. Where were we? Okay, here. Deep editing, okay? A lot of editors can relate to this, where you'll edit for like maybe 5 or 10 minutes and then you re-watch what you've edited up until that point. You're basically just watching content, okay? That is not going to help you edit more. What you have to do is stop re-watching your stuff constantly, because that's eating up your time, right? If you edit like a 15-minute video and you keep re-watching the first 7 minutes, like that's gonna eat up your time. It's not very efficient. You have to go to the end where you're struggling with, or go to the part of the edit you're struggling with and just dive right in, okay? Planning videos. So ordering props, planning video structure. Ordering stuff, not really deep work, actually. I'm going to take that out. Ordering stuff, you can kind of just create a list during your deep work, and then outside your deep work, when you're like on Amazon or something, you can really easily just order it. That's not like deep work, okay? Planning video structure, I would argue that's deep work. You're trying to come up with the story. You're trying to plan the stuff. It's like your brain is working at like 100%. That's deep work. Technically, filming is deep work. I'm on the fence, okay? Because yes, it's one of the highest ROI tasks you can do. Without filming, you can't make videos. But also, too, it's not really a lot of time like your cognitive load is at 100%. It's closer to like 80 for me, or 90, which like still is close to deep work, but I just wouldn't really consider it necessarily deep work. For this specifically, like I would say that like I wouldn't classify it as like the type of deep work, because like you're not isolated, you know what I mean? So, but it is still a high level of work. Designing thumbnails. For entertainment creators, that is the single most important thing in the entire video. Okay, is the idea and the thumbnail. That's why brainstorming and thumbnails are kind of like this one here and this one here. They're up there. Poor examples of deep work. So low ROI tasks, low leverage tasks. Responding to comments. That's not really moving the needle on anything. Okay, changing the YouTube banner. Okay, that's not like, oh, it's going to help with branding. It's not. Nobody cares about the banner. Nobody's going to look at your banner. It doesn't really matter that much. Okay, you can kind of set your banner and forget it. Changing profile picture. This one is just silly. Set your profile picture and forget it. If you're constantly changing your profile picture too, like people just aren't going to really remember like what your channel looks like, and so it's doing you a negative. Checking emails. This one feels so productive, right? You're on top of it. You're checking your emails. You're not in a state of flow or focus when you're checking your emails because it's not difficult. You just have to read the thing and decide if it's important or not. So that's not deep work. Looking for inspiration, okay? The only time I think this is not shallow work, so down here is shallow work and up here is deep work. The only time I don't think it's shallow work is when you're not watching the videos and you're just looking at like thumbnails or you're just looking at intros. Okay, so if you're analyzing an intro, you're like taking notes on it, or you're trying to like figure out, like, yes, that could be deep work, but if you're just mindlessly watching videos for the sake of just inspiration, it's not really deep work. Anyways, that is the main portion of my day. Okay, if I can complete from waking up well rested, light activity, cold shower, raw eggs, visualize, and then I try to aim personally for about 3 to 4 hours of deep work. Again, the reason I'm making this is not only to share this information, but also hold myself accountable. Over the summer, I was like, averaging around 2.5 to 3 hours of deep work. Now, and I'll just say off the last week, so Monday's been 2 hours, 5 minutes. Tuesday was 2 hours, 55 minutes. Wednesday was 2 hours, 15 minutes. Thursday was 1 hour, 15 minutes. And then Friday was 1 hour, 50 minutes. And so far today, there's been 0 hours of deep work because I've been making this thing, which I actually don't mind because I like sharing this information. It's fun for me. I like doing this. After that, gym and social. Okay, I've been isolated all day. You need to talk to people. Otherwise, I become kind of like a little hermit. Physical activity. This kind of goes without saying, like, do something, right? You don't have to be like a bodybuilder. You don't have to like, try to get big. It's like, just do something though, right? Run, bike, hike, walking. And like, I wouldn't classify walking really as physical activity. It's kind of just like what your legs are for. Martial arts, jiu-jitsu, MMA, Muay Thai, in the gym, lifting weights, powerlifting, calisthenics, right? Like, swimming, right? Like, there's so many different ways to do it. You just have to move your body, okay? It's really important for your brain. I didn't even bother, like, looking into the research just because, like, to me, it seems, like, so obvious. Like, just do something with your body every single day, or at least, like, not every single day. Obviously, give your body rest days, but, like, that's just kind of goes without saying. Again, I wrote here, like, it kind of doesn't really matter what I do during this period of the day because I've already won the day. I've already done, like 2.5 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours of deep work. I've already, like, moved the needle. I've already moved my YouTube channel forward, my business forward, so it's like I'm cool. Occasional social events. This is the part that could screw it up again. You want to remain in a dopamine detox, okay? The idea with this, and I might make a video that dives a little bit more into this, but the idea with this is basically you want to choose a few specific things that are really meaningful and important to you. So what is meaningful, important, right? Watching the latest episode of Stranger Things is not something that I would think is meaningful or important, right? That's not really something that, you're going to be on your deathbed. Oh, like, I really wish I would have like, no. Being physically healthy, right? Taking care of your body and your mind. Creating a business, following your dreams. This is not like virtue or anything. Like, obviously, everyone is going to have something different, but I have very strong opinions on consuming media and social media. I think that those can crush the actual dreams that you, like, if you think of yourself as like a 6-year-old kid, okay, what did that kid actually want? It's like, when I grow up, I want to work a 9 to 5 and then sit on my couch and then scroll social media. I'm going to try not to like go into this too much because, again, I do have strong views on it. But I also do think that really, like, wherever your life looks like, whatever, like, you can always follow your dreams. And I do genuinely believe that anybody who wants to can achieve what they want. I really do think that. Yeah, you want to think of basically the dreams that you had as a little kid. Or not even necessarily the dreams, but like that kind of like wholesome, innocent um ambition, if that makes sense. So there's like, you ask a kid, what do you want to be? Funnily enough, a lot of kids now will say YouTuber, but a lot of kids, you know what I mean? Like back when I was a little kid, used to like, it's like an astronaut, a firefighter, a police officer, right? Those are all cool things. And I genuinely believe that we were put on this earth to strive towards making those things a reality in our lives. I genuinely believe that. Okay, I think that you're supposed to choose like a few things that are like calling to you that you genuinely believe, right? Like when I was like 14 years old, I for some reason just had this idea in my head that I was going to be a YouTuber. Now, I want to make this very clear because everyone, when they kind of like will like make it, right, like at the like 1 million milestone, like they'll give the speech, or like 10 million or whatever, and they'll be like, I always knew it. I want to make this very clear. It is very normal to not know. I did not know along the entire journey so far, and I'm not even close to being where I want to be yet. I don't have even 100,000 subscribers, but along this journey so far, I have not known, right? Like I've had this subtle little pull, but I haven't known with confidence for certainty, like nothing. Um, you know what I mean? I'd always like think of like a backup plan. I'd always think of like some other, but I genuinely do believe like you just have to like that thing that you've always wanted to do. Oh, I should get into writing. That like, or oh, I should do this. Like, and I can see it in like anybody that I talk to, or at least everybody I've talked to so far, right? And it ranges from like building arcade machines out of like wood to starting a, I don't know, like a animal hunting business or something, right? Like it's crazy stuff, right? Like it's very broad. Sorry, I shouldn't say it's crazy because I genuinely do believe it's probably the most important work that many people don't do in their lives, right? Like the most important work that the majority of people don't do. And I think that's really sad. But I want the main central themes around this channel to be like just following those things. And so when I explain my rationale in terms of like getting into a dopamine detox, what I mean is like when you have that like 6-year-old kid inside you, that inner child, you know what I mean? For me, it's like and I'll use myself as an example, right? Like I want to be a YouTuber. I want to entertain people. I want to make content, and I want to inspire other people to follow whatever their dream is, right? Um, I used to kind of do the whole like, oh, like the 9 to 5 like rat race. And that's why I was careful with the example I used previously, because I believe like going to school, if you want to do something, like if you want to become like a dentist and help people's oral health and like give them confidence, like that is cool, bro, because we need people like that. Or if you want to go to school to become a lawyer and you're like law really interests you and you want to help defend people who are like, they shouldn't be like they're wrongfully convicted, and you want to like help them out, or like whatever, like even if it's just like you want to like help businesses, like that is cool if you're passionate about it. But the key point is if you're passionate about it. I haven't met a single person yet so far in my life who is passionate about scrolling TikTok on their phone or passionate about mindlessly watching media. Okay, I think that those things can have a place. I think that if you're following your dream, you should eliminate them. And I'm extreme, okay? So you, like, honestly, if you don't want to take my advice or whatever, I completely understand. But I haven't watched, like, YouTube videos outside of the purpose of, like, researching other YouTubers in, I would say probably a long time. Obviously, like, I'll have days where I'll kind of just, like, give in to that, like, and just watch YouTube anyways, right? But that really only happens once every month, once every 2 months. I really have a problem with social media. I have a problem with short form content. I have a problem with that instant dopamine. Like, I hate that, because it takes away from the dopamine that you would use, right? And we know dopamine is not the happy chemical, it's the motivation chemical, right? It takes away from that motivation. You can use those words interchangeably. That would be put towards something like building your dreams. And if you're a writer, okay, and you're, I don't know, like, in a job you don't like, but you've always wanted to do this writing, you know what I mean? But then you go on your phone and then that's taking away from that motivation. I genuinely believe that that is evil. I believe that those companies are robbing you of that motivation that you deserve as a human being that was given to you by God, that you should use to follow your dreams. So, very long-winded way of basically saying, choose the things that are meaningful to you, right? Whether it's, being a writer, studying really hard to become a doctor to help people, being a YouTuber, okay? And try to cut everything else out. It's not a lack. You're not lacking anything, right? If you're cutting out social media, there's this crazy fear of like FOMO or like you're missing out on something. You're not missing out. I promise you. The only thing you're missing out on by being on these platforms is chasing your dreams, okay? Essentially that motivation, right? That wasted dopamine by being on your phone, that kind of like easy, like fake dopamine, right? And I'm using these words as more kind of like pop culture, right? It doesn't really work that way, but you're kind of wasting that motivation on your phone that you could use towards something that would be really meaningful to you, right? That you would like get fulfilled by, right? When you scroll reels every day, you're not fulfilled. Yeah, I'm probably gonna make a video in the future about dopamine specifically again, just because it's something that really fires me up. I wish it was like common sense. From people I talk to, it's not something that's like really ever taught in school. It's like I don't think taught in a lot of university either. So not a lot of people understand why I believe that this is so important. And I'm not trying to like change your mind or like brainwash you or anything like that. I just genuinely want anybody who wants to follow their dreams to actually follow their dreams. Okay. So for me, that means like I'm not going to go out and club, okay? I'm not going to go out and party. I'm not going to, okay, I did my work day. Now it's time to scroll reels on Instagram. I'm not going to do any of those things. Why? Because those things, those environments, those fake bullshit media, okay, is stealing your motivation. So when you go to a club or a bar or I guess like I don't know, in some circumstances like it depends on the context, okay? Like if you and your buddy are going out like to hang out and chat or whatever, or like once in a while, right? Like that's fine. But if you're like every weekend going to the club and there's loud lights and loud music and it's so much fun and you're drinking alcohol that's poisoning your body, right? Alcohol literally is a carcinogen. It's a class 1 carcinogen. It is destroying your body. It's destroying your health. It's destroying your mind. I genuinely believe that, it is not good for you. If you're going out and doing that, that is so much fun. It's so stimulating, right? And your dopamine is going crazy, okay? If you think back to when we were cavemen, we would sit around a fire and like the craziest thing that would happen in like the entire like year would be like some banger event that they'd host where we'd just dance around a fire. Okay, or maybe we'd like catch a mammoth and that would be like crazy, bro. Like we hunted him down and we caught him and we're celebrating and like we're throwing up our spears in the air. That would be the craziest thing. Nowadays, right, like a club isn't even really considered like that crazy, but it's like if you think about the actual environment and then what our brains were used to back in the caveman days, it's like we're surrounded by these crazy lights. There's like all this loud music and like honestly, at the end of the day, like it's not like horrible, right? It's not like super bad. Mainly I want to talk about social media a little bit more just because I think a lot of people, I mean, if you watch this channel, hopefully you kind of agree that it's not something that's good for you. I think not a lot of people understand why it's so bad. When you're scrolling reels constantly, there's a few things that are happening. One, your dopamine is the molecule of motivation. Now, if you think back to the caveman days, motivation was something that was very heavily tied to kind of like gambling, okay? So if we're living in this valley and we have a tribe of 150 people and, we're eating the local berries, we're, hunting the local animals, but, those populations are kind of declining. It's getting a bit harder to find food. We're kind of like running the valley dry of its resources, okay? It would be the most beneficial thing to do to go and travel across the mountain and find what's on the other side of the next valley. Now, it could be nothing. It could also save the entire tribe. So dopamine is the molecule of searching, motivation, kind of like the molecule of wanting more, right? Like if you have really high dopamine, you're usually going to be like kind of, you're not really like, You're very motivated, right? It's not like a feeling of like, yeah, I've made it, I'm happy. It's a feeling of like, okay, like, let's do this. We can do it. Let's lock in. That's what dopamine kind of more is, right? So essentially, the reason that scrolling is so bad, in my opinion, okay, is because when you're scrolling, you're constantly like exposing your brain to new or novel content. So you're watching like a Family Guy clip, then you're watching some like bald guy yelling at women, then you're watching this supercar, then you're watching, and these things too, by the way, are not just neutral media. It's constantly like spiking your emotions. It's taking advantage of like your primal brain, and it's like like your amygdala is a part of your brain that is like the fear center. Okay, it's the fight or flight. It's constantly spiking your amygdala. It's constantly creating controversy. It's just bullshit. It's all bullshit. I promise you it's bullshit. I deleted Instagram back in 2023. I don't watch Reels anymore, and I'm so much more happy, okay? When you're scrolling Reels, you enter this state of being like a zombie, right? You're not creating meaningful memories. In fact, the majority of the time, because these new things are going by so fast, the time is deleted from your memory. If you scroll Instagram for 2 hours, you can't remember what you were even doing because the 15-second videos are flying by so fast. It's not enough time for you to actually remember what you were looking at. There's this whole idea of like, okay, like put down your phone, try to remember the last 10 reels that you watched. Just the last 10. A lot of people can't even remember the last 3, let alone 10. Okay, and that has nothing to do with the people. I don't think that the people are, it's these fucking evil companies that are hiring these psychologists to try to get you addicted to your phone. That is inherently, I believe, evil and wrong. Okay, I have a really big problem with that. The reason I have such a big problem with that is because when you're scrolling these things and your dopamine is constantly being elevated by this new and novel media, right? Like we've talked about the idea of new and novel stuff being really appealing to your dopamine center. And the reason, again, that's the case is because, you know, if you have like, again, a tribe and then you try and like go and try to discover new land or like discover new territory, right? Like that's going to be super beneficial to that tribe because you could discover like fresh animals, fresh resources, right? Like that is really beneficial to the survival of your tribe. However, that reward mechanism is being hijacked by this new media, right? Like novel stuff, dopamine loves it, right? You buy a new jacket, it feels awesome. You buy a new pair of shoes, it feels awesome. Now imagine that feeling, but every 15 seconds. That's gonna fry your system, okay? So essentially the idea is you want to get off this shit as much as possible because it genuinely is taking away from that dopamine that could be used to do something meaningful, right? The dopamine could be used to like get the motivation to set up like a hangout with your boys, or to like get the motivation to go to the gym, or to get the motivation to do something hard that's going to help you follow your dreams, right? To actually do things that are going to be meaningful in your life. But instead, it's going towards something that you don't even remember after you're done doing it, okay? You're scrolling and like, what's the average like facial expression of someone who's scrolling? Okay, watch someone who's scrolling, right? Like, you know, sometimes, like, and I'll be honest, right? Sometimes, right, you find a really funny video and then you like show your friends, right, and you're laughing. The majority of the time, you're like this. That is not quality time. It's overstimulating your brain. Your brain is not resting because it's constantly trying to process these new 15-second videos every 15 seconds. You're not resting, right? After a long day, if you open up your phone, you start scrolling, you're not resting. You're just pausing the feeling of discomfort, okay? I really struggle with this one. It really does bother me. And so I think that truthfully, you need to enter as much of a dopamine detox as you can, or as you feel comfortable with. And I'll tell you my dopamine detox protocol. Yes, it's extreme, but I also want to do things that are going to positively impact my life, positively impact as many other people's lives as possible. Okay. My dopamine detox protocol is as follows, okay? I'm not allowed to watch movies or TV unless it's a social event, unless it's a movie night, unless it's going to the movie theater with other people. Honestly, I'd probably let myself go to the movie theater by myself, But unless it's one of those things, I'm not allowed to watch TV or movies. No ifs, ands, or buts, right? At the end of a long day, oh, I want to watch a movie? Too bad, bro. Too bad. At least if I really have a craving to watch something, I'm going to have to, right, by this rule, set up a movie night, go to the movie theater. At least I'm getting an experience out of it, right? I'm spending time with loved ones, with family members, etc. 2, I am never allowed to watch short form content, ever. The only times I will break this rule is when I'm brainstorming for 15 minutes in the morning. If a short will pop up in my feed and I view it as beneficial to the act of brainstorming, right? And I have to be really careful with this because like still I struggle with this. But I have a blocker on my actual YouTube website that will shut off. So I can only brainstorm for a certain window. And then after that, it's like, too bad. If you didn't brainstorm, you missed that for the day. And I feel really bad about myself. So it like makes it so that I will brainstorm. I have YouTube unblocked again from 6 p.m. to 6:25 p.m. The majority of the time I'm at the gym. The majority of the time I'm having dinner. I'm doing something else. I will rarely watch YouTube in the evenings. Like I haven't watched YouTube in the evenings for the last probably like 3 months. And I love it, okay? It's not a lack. Again, like a lot of people get FOMO. A lot of people like, but it's like an enjoyable experience. You're taking that enjoyment, but then you're not deleting it. You're carrying it and you're putting it into something that you're going to find fulfilling, right? When you're watching a YouTube video, you're not really fulfilled. I mean, obviously there's exceptions. Like if you're watching a film that's going to change your life, if you're watching, you know what I mean? Fine. You can't really get a fulfilling experience from just watching content, right? I mean, me personally, maybe this is just me, right? I don't want to generalize. When I think of fulfilling experiences from watching content, I think of when my family and I went and saw the Minecraft movie, okay? When we went and saw Avengers Endgame in theaters, okay? When, you know what I mean? It for me at least, and this is maybe just me, but it only has to do with these social events, right? Like you're not remembering the actual media you're watching, you're remembering the feeling. Like when Iron Man went, I am Iron Man, and snapped, that was like, it still sent shivers down my spine. Like everyone in the theater, it was like, I think close to opening night too. So everyone in the theater was going crazy. Like people were crying. Like I was crying. Like it was crazy, right? But that's not because of the media. That's because of the environment, I believe. I mean, there's some exceptions, right? Obviously, if you watch that movie by yourself, you probably say, like, bro, that's crazy, right? But it's like you're alone, bro. Like, in my opinion, that's just like something I want to avoid. In my opinion, that's a little bit sad. Like, I would want to, you know, I mean, no judgment whatsoever, but I would want to watch with other people. Anyways, yeah, basically trying to get into as much of a dopamine detox as possible. Furthermore, on my dopamine detox, I only allow myself to listen to music during my cold showers. Most times not, but sometimes when I'm feeling really like I don't want to step in the cold shower in the morning, I'll put on like some music in the gym so I can listen to music in the gym, which again is something I've experimented with in the past. When I used to be in university, bro, get away with these balloons, bro. When I used to be in university, I would only allow myself to listen to music on leg days. So, you know what I mean? I used to do my upper body and stuff and just like chill in the gym, like raw dog it. YouTube, again, don't really watch YouTube. Movies, try not to watch movies. Short form, absolutely no. Like, no exceptions. Video games, no exceptions. This is one that was really hard for me to give up. I love Minecraft. My very first YouTube channel, if you look on my main YouTube channel, my Felix Hashtag channel, like if you look at that and then you look at previous channels, which I've attached all my previous channels, I've linked them. You can look at the bottom one, it's a Minecraft channel. That has so many memories. I used to play Minecraft with my high school friends. I used to play Minecraft with my online friends. I've made real lifelong friends from being on the same like server, right? Like from playing multiplayer Minecraft with people that have been like in my country, right? That are like a 12-hour drive away. I've met up with them in real life. Like I've made real lifelong friends. So this was one for me that was really hard to give up because it had a lot of meaningful memories. There's a ton of nostalgia. It got me through some really hard times, especially in Canada, it's called junior high school, but middle school, right? Kind of grades 7 to 9. However, it's insanely stimulating. It hijacks your brain's reward system. You know what I mean? Instead of your brain thinking, how can I level up my life? It's thinking, how can I level up my fake virtual life, which is going to do nothing for you in real life. There's really no skill. I believe that the whole idea, like the hand-eye coordination, that is cope, okay? Unless you're playing it to make content or playing it to be the best in the world and make money from competitions. I genuinely believe it's like, unfortunately for me, gotta cut it out because I have a bigger mission to focus on. I want to make amazing videos. I want to inspire people to follow their dreams. And to do that, it requires sacrifice. So again, I'm explaining this part and it's taking like 20 or 25 minutes just for the ending part, but I do believe dopamine detox is the most important thing. It's like if I want content, right, I want to, I can watch podcasts, I can read books, I can listen to audiobooks. I don't really like reading physical books, so I'll listen to audiobooks. Right, I can, I have a book right here. This is, right, wind down. So my wind down time is 10:30 at the latest, okay? No blue light. This is something I take very seriously, okay? This is what my phone looks like at night, okay? There is data that supports the idea of blue light being like the wake up time, okay? When the sun sets, there are very few blue light wavelengths, okay? Blue light tells your brain it's the middle of the day. So blue light is amazing to get at the beginning of the day. You want your brain to have that in your eyes to get that blue light because it tells your brain, wake up, it's the middle of the day. We're in the middle of the day, like it's like time to get up. But at the evening, blue light is disruptive. It is so disruptive to your sleep cycle. It's really not good. It's disruptive to your sleep. And so if you're on a phone or a laptop and you're even doing something like low key, like you're like reading or something low stem, you're listening to like a podcast or something, it's going to mess up your circadian rhythm. It prevents the release of melatonin, which is your hormone that tells your brain it's time to go to bed. And essentially, because your brain is thinking, oh, it's the middle of the day from these blue wavelengths, it really messes with your hormones. So I have all my screens set to red. I also recently ordered a pair of red glasses from Amazon. They're specifically blue light blocking. So not just the clear ones that only block 20% of blue light. They're physically they're actually red lenses. So when you look through them, everything looks red. No overhead lights. This drives me insane. Why would you turn on overhead lights when you're about to go to bed? Your brain doesn't know the difference between the sun and an overhead light. So it thinks it's the sun. Obviously, yes, you can, yes, you know the difference that. But your brain and the hormones and all that, especially through LEDs, that is so disruptive. I have two really powerful lights in my room, okay? They're more powerful than my overhead lights. I'll turn them on. Holy moly. Okay. These are two lights I ordered from Amazon. They're specifically for studio lighting. I'm holding this bro, the camera's not doing it justice. These are really bright lights, okay? They're super bright. These are examples of massive LED lights. They're shining a crazy amount of blue light. Oh, it doesn't really look blue. It's kind of like a yellow tint. There are still blue light wavelengths coming from these lights. And so they're really damaging, right? It's only 2:24 p.m. So for me, that's fine. It's the middle of the day. I cannot, these are so disruptive. This light up above me, super disruptive to my sleep, okay? So I actually have, and me and my friends do this, where we'll have the lamps, our bedside table lamps, are actually physically, it's red light. So it's not it's not just a normal lamp. It's their red light, which is fine. For me, my lamp is this little light bulb thing, so it's not gonna be red. But I ordered those red glasses, and then obviously no bright lights. You can blast red light, but it's still gonna be stimulating for your eyes. And so you want to try to avoid that. That literally looks like the sun in my room, bro. That is crazy. That is a bright light. Anyways. Okay. Last thing is no stimulating tasks. Um, no stimulating conversations. A big thing that I used to do that I no longer do, or I try not to do, is listen to podcasts at the end of the day. Podcasts are a stimulating conversation. It could potentially, you could listen to something and you could not agree with it and it could spike your cortisol. Like, it's just gonna mess up your brain. It's better to just leave that shit for the next day. Only relaxing music, okay? Something like Minecraft music. That's something that's really relaxing. It's something that is you're going to be able to fall asleep to, okay? Sleeping, for me, 11:30 at the latest. Again, like, the timings of this doesn't really matter. I'm more just trying to explain why I do these particular habits. Like, I've done similar routines to this, like waking up at 10:30 or 6:30, right? There's been periods or seasons in my life where I've like switched around the timing. It doesn't really matter that much. I believe the whole idea of like getting up early, like, it's kind of silly if you know that your brain naturally wakes up later. So it's like, don't fight your biology. I did it when I was in university, and it's like, you can do it. You're just groggy the rest of the day, so there's no point. Um, it's kind of just like an ego flex. So again, sleeping at 11:30, not just lights out. So from 10:30, the room is completely black. No lights, no bedside table lamp, no nothing. The room is pitch black. Sleeping at 11:30, completely, um you want like to be completely asleep. Now, something I want to mention here as well, there were studies done that basically showed that in major cities in the United States, you'd look up at the sky, and because there was so much light pollution, the actual sky itself, not the lights shining in from the window, but the sky itself was messing with people's sleep. And they've done studies on this. I mean, I'm not gonna like cite them because I don't remember them. You can look them up, or like, if you want, don't believe what I'm saying. I understand that too. But the idea is basically, even the most subtle little light, right, like, can totally like screw with that. You want your room to be pitch black, at least for me. Um, Actively trying to sleep and not doing anything else. Okay. I think I covered everything. I'm going to go eat lunch, and then I'm going to attempt to do some deep work after this, even though I did not do my morning routine well. I got up and I did not do deep work. I did not have a cold shower right away in the morning, and I totally screwed up my day. Anyways, basically, this is the entire thing here. I spent about like 25-30 minutes making this, and then I wanted to just share this with you guys because I think these things are really important. I think that it helps you be able to like bring your best for the day. There were a lot of people that will say that like this is overkill. There's a whole idea of like, you do the whole like morning routine, it's way too excessive, right? Like, I used to wake up and then I would go outside and do like light exposure. Technically, that's the best thing you're supposed to do. I don't really do that very much anymore. I find it doesn't make a huge difference. I have a friend who lives by it. He does it every morning, and he thinks it makes a really big difference. So it kind of, is hit or miss. Like, you just experiment with these things until you find something that works for you. I genuinely believe that. I think the main thing is, as long as you're doing deep work, as long as you're not doing anything distracting before your deep work, again, like, some people will not visualize at all. They don't care. I used to not do it at all. I now live by it. I'm like, this thing is so important. It keeps me on track. It keeps me like motivated as to like why I'm working this hard. So I believe it's really important. I think that deep work is kind of like a thing that everyone that, you know what I mean? Like, if they want to be their most effective, I think everyone should do that. I also think that a dopamine detox is something that a lot of people would benefit from. Our brains are pretty much the exact same, right? And like, I say that, and like, the reaction might be like, whoa, like, no, we're not. Like, kind of, yeah, we are. Our DNA is 99% the same as a banana. Imagine how similar our brains are going to be, okay? Okay, apparently this isn't actually true. Apparently we're only 60%. Like, we share 60% of DNA from bananas, but we're still 99% the same as chimpanzees. So basically my point is that our brains are all going to be pretty much the exact same. Basically, we all have the exact same reward mechanism. We have the exact same, you know what I mean? Like, our dopamine levels might be like slightly different depending on the person, right? Like your personality, but most times our actual like brain structure is the same. Like, we all have the same amygdala. We all have the same prefrontal cortex. So a lot of this is going to be like for at least the deep work section, the eat the frog section, the gym section, and the dopamine detox section. I'm actually going to change this here to say dopamine detox, because I do really think that is just so important. But yeah, basically, and again, like the sleep one as well, the whole idea of like the red light, being in a black room, no stimulation. It's like, you know, you'd have the occasional like, you know, dickhead who could be, oh, well, like I can actually fall asleep. Okay, great. Do your thing. The 99.9% of the rest of us, I genuinely believe would benefit from, it's like, okay, before you go to bed, like don't be on your phone, don't scroll, don't do any of that stuff. Like it's just kind of, you know, and I'm not saying it from a place of like judgment whatsoever. It's genuinely from a place of passion. I have videos on this channel where I have struggled and I stay up until like 9 a.m. the next morning from scrolling reels and shorts. I don't like that I can like see myself. It's really trippy. I'm getting distracted by myself. Yeah, so I've really struggled with these things as well. And again, the reason I'm making this is because I struggled to do this morning. Guilty. So yeah, I believe that this stuff is really important. I try to really live by it, and it has been the happiest I have ever been in my whole life when I've been locked into this. Okay. When I'm constantly going to bed feeling like I've worked really hard, feeling like I've hung out with like valuable friends, friends that love me, friends that I love. Like this is something actually that I wanted to share as well, that I started doing because someone I was talking to, like I was having a conversation with this dude, and he was like, yeah, like I will say to my friends, like after it, like they leave or whatever, like I'll say I love you. And I've started doing that, and it's like I love my friends. Like the friends that I have, I love, and they love me, and I know I'm there for them and they're there for me. And it's like I have really good friends. I'm super lucky. Yeah, that's something I want to share, is just saying like to your friends or your loved ones, like I love you, because you never know the last time that you're gonna see them. Also too, like roping into the whole idea of like vision boards, like I remember 2 years ago, like I didn't really have very many close friends, and I made a vision board, right? Like visualization. And a vision board is the process of like taking a bunch of images, pictures. It's like making a collage of what you want your life to be. I made a vision board basically with like sections where there were like friends. So it would be like a picture of two guys working out. It would be a picture of a bunch of guys, like a bunch of people hanging out at like a movie night. It would be a picture of like people walking late at night. And it's the weirdest thing ever. Like now I have like literally those photos, but they're real and they're in my camera roll. Like, and that is weird to me. Another example being like, I remember this was a year and a few months ago. I'd set on my wallpaper the dream camera that I wanted, which was the Sony A7S3. I think it's one of the best cameras you could buy for YouTube. If you're on a budget, do not buy it. It was a lot of money. But literally, like, bro, like that is weird to me. I put that on my phone wallpaper, and now I'm holding it in real life. Like it doesn't even, like, it's my camera. It's so weird. It's so weird to me. And I do genuinely believe in the process of, you know what I mean? Like like kind of the whole idea of like manifestation, the idea of like attraction, like kind of law of attraction. I still have a lot to learn in terms of that stuff specifically, but I do believe that, like, again, with the whole visualization stuff, if you believe it in your mind and you could see it in your mind every single day, like eventually, and you're like taking obviously the action steps to make it come true, I genuinely believe like it will come true. And it's weird because like they're very specific. I guess like we're an hour and 4 minutes into the video, so I feel a little bit more comfortable sharing this here, where it's a little bit more hidden in the video. Bro, I want to close this. There we go. But like my wallpaper, like, and here I'll actually, okay, so this was my wallpaper for 2025. Okay, and I spent a lot of time on this. And okay, I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger for this part. This might not be the best quality. But basically, there's everything on here that I kind of was like striving towards, okay? I'll break it down, and I'll maybe do a better job doing this in a separate video. There's like the phone color and the phone case that I wanted. I have like an iPhone 14 Pro, and I bought it a few years ago, and when I'm making content, I want like a nice new phone. So that's a goal I have. Obviously the golden play button, silver play button. This is Charlie Morgan. He is a influencer who talks about basically business, and in one of his videos, which was the screenshot right here, he talks about the idea of making this a vision board. So it's kind of like a little bit of Inception. I wanted to include that. This is a picture of Iraq that somebody I know took. So this is not a picture that you can kind of find online. This is a picture of like actual like, this is so weird to me, okay? And then I'm only like a few degrees of connection away from him now, which is like really weird in my mind. This is like, these are really like personal, to be honest with you. These are screenshots of like flights to LA, places in LA, kind of like parties of YouTubers in LA. This is like literally a YouTuber's room that I screenshotted and then used AI to like make blank. And I was like, okay, his room is kind of set up. He's got like a whiteboard, a chair. And now, bro, actually, am I allowed to share anything on the whiteboard? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Wait, am I allowed to share anything on the whiteboard? Yes. I'm okay with it now. There's some surprises that I have that I'm gonna do this whiteboard in my room. Like just some of the stuff that I've had in like my mind and my imagination has come true, and it's been the weirdest experience ever. I have kind of some of the food that I want to eat. Obviously, I want to make a little bit more money so that I can afford the optimal like diet, like no junk food, none of that crap. High protein, that kind of stuff. And then this is my wallpaper for this year. And it's got some different kind of goals on it. It's more focused on kind of like the mental side of stuff. So not necessarily as much more materialistic, but more like the mental side. So not necessarily like what I want, but who I want to become. And again, I'll probably make a separate video on this stuff, because like I can break down some of this stuff in a separate video, but this just like is like so cool to me. This gets me fired up. This is a YouTube creative collective, okay? And what that is YouTube will host events around the world where they will invite YouTubers to come out and meet up. I have this like on back probably in July, where I have my video I've made where I took footage of inside of there because I was invited to that. That is the coolest thing in the entire world for me, okay? Because I was 14 years old and I wanted to become a YouTuber, and then like I sacrificed like a fair amount. Obviously I was in a great position because like I was going to school, and outside of school I had a lot of free time, so I made videos. That being said, I would sacrifice things like hanging out at school later with my friends. I would sacrifice things like going to like certain social events. I would sacrifice things like hanging out with like my girlfriend at the time as much as I wanted to, because I wanted to make videos so bad and be a YouTuber. And it's the coolest thing, in my opinion, to finally like YouTube is like, yeah, you come to this event thing. It's like I don't even feel like, I feel like imposter syndrome like being there, because I was like really like what do you mean like a YouTube event? And even still I'm like obviously because I'm from Calgary, Alberta, it was a little bit of a smaller thing. So if it was like a creative collective in LA, it would be like way more competitive, versus there's not a lot of competitive YouTubers in Calgary, so it was like a little bit easier to kind of get in. But anyways, still super cool. And then I have a picture here of a girl meeting her idol, meeting her hero, one of her heroes at a creative collective. And it's just something that like I would love to go to creative collective in like, I don't know, New York or LA, and be able to meet like YouTubers that I've looked up to. not only that, this is one of the weirdest things I've ever experienced. Like, I've had it where I've like seen a creator's stuff and I've been like, man, like that's a cool video. I want to meet this person, and then I'll connect with them in real life. And like I've taken screenshots on my own phone where there's like, and obviously like as I guess like you kind of play the game more, you kind of like will get like bigger ambitions. And so like I would not have these ambitions now because I like kind of want like I guess like more and more and more. And it's not about the wanting more, it's about the journey obviously, but like I've had it where basically I'll want to like talk to some guy or I'll think his videos are cool or whatever, and then like it's like 2 months later it's like we're on the phone like discussing thumbnail stuff, like debating, like I don't know, it's just like that is the coolest concept to me in the whole wide world, because you can literally connect two people that grew up in different places, that the only thing they share in common is their ambition and their passion. It's like you can connect them, and then suddenly it's like you become great friends. Like two of my four best friends in real life I met online. That's so weird. One of them is my friend Brian. I don't really talk about him a whole lot. He's been in one of these unfiltered videos before where he's like the Asian dude who is like super good looking and super jacked. But basically we met and he messaged me on Instagram, and then now he's flying out for my birthday party. Like, what? That is crazy. Like, he flew out and now he's flying out again. Like, it's just, that is the weirdest thing, because I could call him up right now and be like, Brian, this is what's happening in my life right now. I need some help. I need someone to talk to. And like, he's my guy. Like, and I love him and he loves me, and we'll say that to each other. Like, and it's not like that, but it's like, I love him as a human being because he supports me and I support him, and we back each other and we try to like help each other. So it's like, that is the coolest thing. Anyways, yeah, total side tangent here. Let me kind of check. Yeah, I don't know. What else is on here? Mostly just like mental stuff. Here's a picture of Ryan Trahan, and also I included it in this little presentation thing. But here, yeah, like Ryan Trahan, when he's younger than me, younger than I am right now, dropping out of university. To me, that's really encouraging. I also dropped out of university. I felt a little bit like that was not, I don't know. There was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of like, obviously like dropping out of university is not like normal. And so you're like, wait, am I a loser for doing this? Right. And so it's like, no, wait a second. It's like other people have too. Yeah, these are pictures of Jack Pembroke's videos when they didn't have as many views as they do now. Not to be like, you know, oh, look, but it's like, oh, wait a second. He started from ground zero as well. Okay, if he did it, I can do it. This is a picture of Loaf. He is explaining that he purchased his house here. This is Togi from his video Book of Togi. I have it saved on my phone. I'll watch it a lot. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It talks about like following your dreams, that kind of thing. What else? This is a subscriber goal. Chris Williamson and Alex Hermosi, kind of talking about the idea, like this is like the idea that like, you know, online like influencers like that will look like they're really, really well put together. This was when he was really like grinding. I think it was when he was sick. And so he's just like really suffering in this photo right here. Like his bro is like, you can't really see it because of the lighting. But this one here in the green shirt. Anyways, yeah, I will make a separate video on this, but I genuinely do believe in the idea of visualizing, you know, keeping your mind focused on what you want to do and like where you want to go. And yeah, I don't know, guys, like freaking, I'm going to wrap this up. Actually, I'm going to make this full screen for wrapping it up, but please, 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 for the love of God, please follow your dreams. Please follow your dreams. Life is once.